Your defining beliefs and how to change them. Now let us return to focus on existence of the narrative that you have developed that seems to tell you who you are, what life is about, and what love is, to name just a few things. Each human has one. It is a natural part of being who you are as long as your mind is allowed free rein to do what it pleases. Through this text and other materials I provide, I aim to reveal to you how all of these things in your life are working so that you can see how to make more informed choices. What your history, experiences, and feelings mean, what you have decided they mean, is a narrative that has been written by parts of you attempting to make sense of them. You have put yourself in a story in order to weave a sense of meaning out of what occurred and how it has felt. At this point in your development over multiple lives, it is time for you to see this narrative of yours for what it is. You are ready to begin dismantling it in order to get on with what you, as soul, came here to do, to figure out more about what love is, where it comes from, and who's responsible for giving it to whom. Become the source of love. It is up to you to be willing to see this story for what it is. I want you to honor that parts of you have written it, because they have done so as a setup for you to be able to protect yourself later when circumstances that seem to portend a repeat of something painful taking shape. The narrative you have written serves to spell out why things happened the way they did and why they happened in the order that they did. This functions to keep you aware of perceived cause and effect scenarios so that you can avoid pain later. Really, you are very clever. All peoples have done this throughout time through developing mythologies, stories they tell each other about how and why the world works and what is a person's place in it. Your personal mythology comprises a series of narratives that depict what has hurt you and why you perceive they have happened. They are meant to be used by future you at older ages, to define against threats and to protect against the hint of something unhappy that came to you in the past coming to you again. As I mentioned above, most of your narratives were written by younger yous without access to the wisdom you have developed through the years of life experience living as a human. Most of these stories you tell yourself about what happened to you that was painful and how and why it happened are based in, we could say, a young and inexperienced journalist's perspective. This young person doesn't necessarily have all the facts about what was happening and why, but nevertheless creates a story about it in order to try and understand what happened and why it happened. If you decide to go through your personal history, your own personal mythology made up of these narratives written by less wise younger yous, then you will find a marked and distinct lack of presence in their retelling. You will note that you are repeating the story almost as if by rote, a bit robotic, obviously memorized. If you are grounded and clear, you will also notice that none of the stories are told from a place of love. Think about that. Your personal mythology is comprised of narratives written in fear. If you are going to become the source of love now, you will need to be present with what is happening in front of you in the moment. You will need to be fully present, and so these stories will have to go. Think about the stories you've told yourself about what has happened and why it has happened. Check the frequency that you begin emitting when the story begins, or when you focus on the feeling. It is all about fear. It has nothing to do with being loving, open, generous, and kind, or giving anyone or anything the benefit of the doubt. And so, if you think about the stories you tell yourself that have shaped you, you will become aware of some beliefs that have served to define you. At times, you will need to learn to read between the lines in order to see the belief behind the story, and so I invite you to turn your cleverness into unraveling these stories that you carry about the difficult and painful situations of your life history. As explored above, each is, in fact, an opportunity for your human self to live out the mission of soul to find out how to become the source of love. Taking this into account, it will be easy for you to see the importance of rewriting the history of what has happened to factor in the logic of soul. If you do not rewrite the meanings ascribed to your experiences, then you are regarding your divine creations and co-creations as the source of victimhood. Victim-related states are based in and are nurtured by a sense of powerlessness and define one as powerless. If you can stretch your conception of who you are to include your true nature as soul, then you put yourself in a position to view the already well-established fact that you have been creating your life all along. You have been all these things that happen, and even better, there is a good reason that you as soul have done this. When a person emits a frequency based in fear, several things happen. First, fear is vibrated into existence around him or her in the form of other people and situations that carry or inspire fear. Second, as the person operates according to a fear-based vibration, he or she begins to affect his or her energy level, self-esteem and self-confidence, emotional stability, and the physical body in negative ways. When a person becomes fearful, fear takes over, and that wonderful sense of divine power through making self-interested choices in line with what you came to the planet to do is covered over, seemingly lost. For some it will appear to escape them, even as they struggle to reach for it. They will not see that energies, attitudes, and beliefs from the past that are held on to are, in fact, interfering with their ability to generate something other than fear. And so how are you to change these beliefs? Don't worry. I won't be telling you to simply change your mind, and that's that. It's a bit more complicated, but it is certainly straightforward enough that all humans can do it if they so choose. Yes, you are to change your mind about details and particulars, but you are also to honor the fact that the harmful and negative, which is to say the fear-based, attitudes, beliefs, and thoughts, are in place because of something that has happened to you. I want you to honor the fact that you feel and even that you have carried pain forward from the past. Some people are taught to or figure out on their own how to judge themselves for feeling pain, for not just letting it go. As all humans are poised to learn at some point, strength as a human is not in shrugging off emotions and deciding that one is tough enough not to be hurt, if hurt, tough enough to go on. You are wonderful as a species, but through your disconnect with the natural feminine, you have adopted these sometimes macho ways of being that, simply put, do not serve you. Strength as a human comes from being willing to feel all one can and dealing effectively with what one feels now and has felt in the past. Living a heart-open and heart-centered life is necessary for real human strength to develop, but it is not in spilling your heart out all over the floor every 10 minutes. It is in feeling and effectively working through what you feel, both present and past. If you do not honor the reality that you have been shaped by your experiences and that the impact of certain life events and your feelings about them can run deep, then you are not honoring your true nature as a portion of the divine. If you focus on your emotions and feelings and broadcast that you are a victim of what has happened to you, then you are similarly not honoring that true nature. So please accept the reality that you are shaped by what has hurt you, while you commit to owning all of it as your creation or co-creation vibrated into existence so that you, as soul, as all that is, can learn about how to deal with such situations and the feelings that result from them and the choices one must make in response to them. And so you are to choose to respect the fact that you have been thus shaped, While you commit to learning to view those experiences as serving an important process, by taking ownership of your creation, you step into the edge of releasing others from the perception that they have hurt or wronged you. You step out of feeling the victim and step into the knowledge that these other souls as people have created dynamics with you that have enabled God and Goddess to learn what it comes to Earth to learn as humans. Consider a painful experience in your past in which someone seemed to hurt you. Try on for size this perspective and see if you are ready to forgive that other person for your perception that he or she is some sort of villain. Decide in the moment to own what you have co-created with that person and that you are willing to learn to see how it is a creation that serves your divine journey as a soul living life as a human. Do not own this and forgive that person because you think you probably deserve poor treatment, and so that person can be let off the hook. View that person as a soul, an incredibly powerful divine being in cahoots with you as soul to co-create what each of you needs to learn. If you were hurt in that situation, then it was serving you to be hurt. If that person hurt you, then the experience of hurting another was part of the plan for that other soul. Always learn more about this. Always seek to understand more about how things work behind the scenes and what you are to learn from the various situations that come to you in your life. Changing your defining beliefs happens through this process. You must go through your history and do this ownership and forgiveness process with all the people who have hurt you, whom you have hurt, those who perceive you owe them something, and all whom you perceive you owe. Clear things out and clean them up, always owning your own experience as your creation, and always doing so, knowing that you as soul have not created painful experiences as a desire to or from a sense of deserving punishment, but as a means to learn how to make choices and deal with the consequences, as well as how to learn to align your motivation with love. If you are not yet sure what defining beliefs may be within you, check your fears. List what you fear most, and then let those parts of you speak. What is the worst thing that can happen? What is the terrible thing that is coming? Why do I believe this? What am I afraid of more, the event or my response? And then look at the patterns of your life. What kinds of relationships and responses, or lack of responses, from others have shaped you? What kinds of opportunities do you perceive, if any, escape you? And why do you believe they do? Who is in charge of your life? What gives them the power? What would you have to do to get back your power? These are just two avenues into uncovering potential patterns. All humans are run by their beliefs, and so it becomes critical for each to become aware of what he or she believes and why. These beliefs are not limited to the religious or ideological kind, or even just the political. They have to do with what is happening in the world and around and to you, and what it seems to mean. One example could be a person who does not ask others for what she wants. Perhaps as a child, a parent was at key moments unavailable to give her the attention she needed, and when she asked, she was told, "Not now, another time." She could begin to consider that it might mean something about her that this happened. Maybe she wonders if she's not lovable, or not worth the time. Or maybe she just comes to think that others are unavailable or uninterested in her. Over time, this will shape her interactions with others, and if we were to catch up with her in her 40s or 50s, the thought that she had as a child that became a belief, we will see has been running a corner of her life. Chances are she will not see it as a belief, but the way things are. If she looks at the pattern in her life regarding her desires and communicating them to others, she might list this one if it seems important or abnormal to her relative to her perceptions of others' experiences. All of this is to say that viewing a pattern and your feelings about it will reveal much about the underlying belief of yours that creates it. what you might not even know to be a belief.